Yo, corrections, the most common thing people think they're supposed to be doing in their dog training. How could you not? We gotta correct the bad behavior, right? I disagree, and I don't even think the word is accurate.
Up next at 10.
Using my 68 years of professional dog training experience, I'm helping you better educate yourself so you can make better choices when training and raising your pet dog. This is Dog French Kisses. Welcome to Dog French Kisses. In this video, we're going to get deep into the most common term or method or technique that everyone is familiar with when it comes to dog training, the correction. If it's not the most common, it's for sure one of the most. I'm definitely going to go over some technical aspects of dog training as they relate to corrections, but to be upfront, most of this is my own viewpoint on the term and what I think about it and how people use it. You can tell from the title of the video, I am not a correction guy. Why is that? It's not because I think that they're never effective. It's not because I'm some pushover dog trainer or purely positive trainer. There's two reasons why I don't use the term correction. Number one, there's already an established scientific term for the technique within behavior modification. Number two, corrections don't correct. So first off, why do people say correction and use corrections? Generally, the belief is that when a dog does something we don't like, we need to quote unquote correct the behavior. Some people say we can't allow a dog to get away with things. Some people say there's nothing bad or wrong with corrections. We're just showing the dog what's acceptable behavior. Some people say corrections are natural for a dog because dogs correct each other. On the surface, these might seem like perfectly good reasons why you should correct your dog. Like I said, my argument is that we already have a term for the technique and the word correction isn't accurate. An important thing in animal training, in planning and progressing in anything, and in science in general, is clearly defining things. Correction is certainly not something clearly defined. I'm not going to be arguing against the technique itself in this video, nor am I on some huge crusade to remove the word from dog training. My issue is that the term is inaccurate and unnecessary, both of which contribute to a lack of understanding. If you search for the definition of correction on Google, you get the following: the action or process of correcting something, or a change that rectifies an error. All the other versions are for specific things that don't really help us, like math or stock market stuff. Except another version of the definition is punishment, especially that of criminals in prison intended to rectify their behavior.
Interesting.
So my takeaway from these, my definition I'm giving here is that a correction is the thing we do to make something right or to make something correct. And then another definition might be to punish behavior to make that right, to make the behavior right. None of this should really be news to you, but we gotta establish the pieces here. Again, the points of my argument are that we already have a term and corrections don't correct. So let's get into these, starting with the latter. Corrections do not correct. If our dog does a behavior that we don't like and we give them a quote-unquote correction, what are they doing now? Did we somehow cue the behavior that we do want while issuing the correction? How could we do that? We're saying, don't do that, but do this other thing in a split-second correction that we're giving the dog? I've heard people say wild shit like the dog was misbehaving and then got corrected and then they go back into some natural dog state. Yeah, well, that's not a thing. What the fuck does that even mean? What would that be? There's natural behaviors and behavior patterns, but there's no natural dog state that they're in. The people that say this are the pack mentality, all dogs need to be submissive, pop the collar and their brain snaps out of it, bullshit pushers. None of those are substantiated by dog biology or ethology, and seemingly related observations have already been studied and explained. How can you say no and yes at the same time? Let me give you a simple non-dog example of a correction. Let's say your name is Jeff and you run into some people you may know, but they get your name wrong. They walk up to you and they say, "Hi, Jeef. Your name isn't Jeef, your name is Jeff." So if you correct that person, how might that go? You could do two things here. Maybe you say, "Oh, my name isn't Jeef." Or maybe you just say, "It's Jeff." Or maybe you put them together. "Oh, my name isn't Jeef, it's Jeff." But the second part is the only necessary part. You can go without telling them it's not Jeef. But if you go without telling them it's Jeff, it's not a correction. In that case, you've let them know they're wrong, but you haven't corrected anything. This is exactly what people are doing in dog training. We're telling our dogs it's not Jeef and thinking that they automatically know it's Jeff. How would they know what behavior we want simply by telling them what we don't want? And don't get it twisted, of course, we can come up with examples where stopping doing something is going to default in behavior that's acceptable. But it's far from universal, and it would have to be universal in order for it to apply as correcting behavior every time as a technique. A lot of times dogs are free to just chill. So if they do an unwanted behavior and we stop it, any other behavior is probably cool with us, right? In those instances, we could theoretically call it a correction. Which leads us to my next point. We already have a term for this. It's not correction, it's positive punishment. A correction is properly called positive punishment. Some dog trainers will say otherwise, and they are wrong. So what is positive punishment? Punishment is something that reduces or eliminates a behavior. The positive part is addition. We're adding something. So putting them together, positive punishment is adding something that reduces behavior. Think about every correction you've done, seen done, or heard about. Certainly the goal is to reduce or eliminate some behavior, right? The behavior is unwanted, so we quote unquote correct that, right? So it's by definition a punishment, assuming it actually works. If it doesn't work, it's not really anything. Watch my behavior modification video and I explain why outcome is what really matters. So it's punishment, for sure. What else would we be doing? You're trying to stop behavior. And again, all the so-called corrections that I know of are adding something to the situation as opposed to removing something, which is negative. So it's not negative punishment, it's positive punishment. When you correct your dog, or at least think about the ways that you might correct your dog, or just a dog, what are you doing? Technically, physically, are you trying to stop a behavior? Yes, that's punishment. Are you adding something to the situation to try and stop that behavior? Yes, that's positive. So what do we got? Positive punishment. Like I said, trainers will try to convince you otherwise. They'll talk about how corrections are just guiding the dog or letting the dog know a behavior isn't acceptable or it's just clear communication. There's nothing wrong with any of the things I just said, but it doesn't change the fact that correction is not accurate and the technique is positive punishment. And lastly, the natural dog behavior idea when it comes to corrections. And this is more on the should you or shouldn't you side. And I said I wasn't going to argue against corrections in this video, just the term. But I want to mention it so you have as much food for thought on the subject as possible. People say corrections are good and even necessary because dogs correct each other and we're just going along with how dogs communicate. And that is true. Dogs do, of course, growl and snap at and bite to let another dog know what they're not cool with. But that does not change what I've said in this video, and it doesn't change the technical aspects of dog training. Also, most dogs have no obligation to look out for the welfare of other dogs or monitor their behavior like we do. And in circumstances where they do, like mother dogs or a dog checking another dog when it's acting up, the quote-unquote corrections they receive are coming from another fucking dog and their natural dog behavior. Not you yelling or hitting or popping a collar or whatever unnatural thing for a dog you choose to use. And it's still Positive punishment. The end. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Watch my other videos and stay up.